Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Arlington Live with the lovely Gina London. Hello, Gina. How are you doing?
Hi, Sam. I'm good. I'm really happy to be here today to be talking about anxiety and nerves and those feelings that we get while we're preparing. And then when we first take that stage or walk into the center of a room or even sitting at a meeting table, if you're going to be the one presenting, it's very likely that you have nerves that are accompanying you to that event.
Oh, for sure. And even I still get nerves sometimes when I have to do. Actually, I'm doing one tomorrow. I suppose it means that you care, doesn't it? The fact that you get
That's
nerves.
exactly. I get asked all the time. I was presenting something last week, and the people around at the lunch before the event, the time slot for me, they said, "Do you still get nervous?" And initially, I said no, and then I said, "Wait a minute. Yes, I do, because I care that I'm connecting. If I were just up there phoning it in or complacent about, oh, here's my off the shelf presentation, I say to anyone, no matter who they are." That I think is a real sign of concern. So
Mm-hmm.
if anyone starts to think about, oh, but I feel nerves, the first thing to tell yourself is that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't have any nerves or adrenaline or emotions that were firing off, then I think that's something where you need to maybe check yourself and what are you bringing? How are you focusing on the audience? Are you looking at them and meeting them where they are as opposed to just reciting something you memorize or saying the same canned speech that you've been delivering over and over, depending on where you are and what you're saying. So, not to say that you want the nerves to overwhelm you, and that's what we're going to dig into together with our time now, but the idea of nerves in of itself is certainly a good thing because it shows that we're alive. Like you said, Sam, it shows that we care. It shows that we're thinking about the experience that we are in charge of for all the people or the person who's on the other side of what we're saying. And keeping that focus takes effort. And an offset of that focus is that residual feeling of, oh gosh, is it okay? Am I landing it? Am I connecting in a way that makes sense and adds value to them?
And I have a little tip actually. We've 35 people watching at the moment. Hello to you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do put a comment up and we will probably show your comment on the
Yeah,
screen and say
please,
hi.
if you've got a question, if you want to share an experience of how nerves undermine a presentation, what you personally do to offset it, or how you use it to propel yourself, I think there's a lot of great sharing that can help. And I want to go back to you, though, Sam, because you had a tip that you were about to share.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember somebody saying once, "Oh, I'm so nervous," and I said, "What are you nervous about?" And I said, "Like, do you really think all those people here want you to fail?" And she went, "Huh," and it kind of changed how she went out. Then she
Well,
said,
that's the first thing. Okay, there's so many things. Let's put it in a bit of a sequence. So, number one, hi, Bats, how are you? Hey, number one, know that you're not alone in this. I think
"Mhm,
that's the first comfort when we can get out of our heads about the experience we're feeling preparing or walking up to a podium or getting ready to stand in front of a table. First of all, remind yourself that you're not alone, that
mhm,
this happens all the time. Secondly, your point, Sam, people largely, there can be a hostile audience or a heckler out there on occasion, but most situations, people want you to do great because that is a validation that their time was well spent. So
exactly." Yeah.
you get into that zone of, hey, isn't this a great place to be? Hey, I'm excited to share things from my experience that will add value to your life. As soon as you flip it on its head about what's in it for the audience, then
Mhm.
the audience feels heard, seen, that you're really doing this for them. Then it changes that dynamic. And as a result, it reduces that disconnect. Largely, the emotions of nerves are coming because we don't feel connected to our audience. If I were presenting to my mom. I know that she knows me, but I also know we have this connection. Now, that said, there's a lot of research out there that says when you're presenting to strangers, that can reduce your emotions. And when you're presenting to colleagues that know you very well, you might be feeling like they're judging you more. But the idea that people want you to succeed is constant between your people that you know, unless there's some competitor out there that really wants you to fall. But we can talk about that. And the people that are in a room who've never met you before, they are hoping there's a nugget in it for them that can better improve their situation in whatever facet is that you're going to be talking about. So yes, know that you're not alone. Know that the people are out there wanting to be heard and seen and valued. And when you let them know you're having a good time, even if you're not, if you make an open commitment, I'm really looking forward to sharing with you, that already starts to reduce it. So those are some tools right there.
Hi, Greg. Greg has commented, I see no problem with being nervous, perhaps channeling it into concentration and focus and purposefulness, yet it can be difficult not to show the nervousness. Oh, that's a good point.
So here, let's talk about the feeling, and then let's talk about how it's displayed, because there's something that we need to do here in order to corral it or contain it in a way that is for good energy and not nervous energy. Because when we're really uncomfortable and we leak it, either in our face going or our body down like this, or saying too many times, oh, I'm really nervous to be here, or oh, I'm really shy, or oh, that person that went before me was so much better. I don't mind a little humanity, but if you do it a lot, your discomfort starts to make the audience uncomfortable too. So you do not have to say everything you're feeling about your nerves. What you can do is reframe, just like Greg was saying, my nerves is because I'm human. My nerves is because I care. Now, if your nerves are because you didn't prepare, that's a lesson for you for next time, to be preparing a little better. If you haven't rehearsed out loud, and the first time that you are going to be presenting a monthly report or a presentation, and you haven't done this before, and you feel nerves, well, that's kind of on you. So take that as a lesson learned. But then let's talk about how to contain it. So in other sessions that we've had together, I have taught this little deflection disruption tool. Calm your nerves. There it is. Sam's already demonstrating for the class. Take your palm, take your thumb, put pressure on your palm, and turn that around. That little pressure right there reminds your emotional center of the amygdala to move your body and your thoughts to the prefrontal cortex, which is where we're a little more rational, we're a little more in control. Nobody has to see this. You come out onto that stage where you're going to present, or that center of the room, and you put that little pressure in, and then the first thing you do is you get comfortable with your body. You do not have to walk on the stage and jump into that presentation. That's a misnomer, and that's going to probably cause you to stumble, which then reinforces the nerves. So come out, put a little pressure on, but breathe. Stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, some way that you're comfortable. Don't go up and down like this. Don't rock side from side. Just anchor yourself for a moment. Knees are flexed, so you're not going to go fall backwards and go off balance because you're nervous. And then take a moment. Look out into the audience. Look at those people who want you to do well. Just a quick look at their eyes, not over their heads, and see the people that are out there. Now, if you see somebody with a scowly face, move on. And then all of this doesn't take nearly as long as it takes for me to describe it. So you're coming out, you're setting your posture. Pull your core in too, by the way, folks. Tightening your core can give you some strength, and it can also be an invisible way to reduce some of those nerves. Then, before you've even said anything about your slides or your presentation, just do what I call the power of the pleasantry. So you breathe, you're looking out at them and you say, good morning, good afternoon. It's great to be here. You know, all those presentation techniques that say, start with a startling statistic, start with a question. Sure, you can use those in a minute, but just center yourself. Get comfortable with the sound of your voice. If you've got a microphone, make sure that you're holding that microphone below your mouth so that it's not, it's just going right across. If it's a headpiece or if it's a lapel, just have a moment to say good morning. See if it's amplified. If it isn't, keep calm. You can have know the names of your AV people if you're using.
Oh yes, that's a great too. Yeah.
That is a great tool because that way you're not getting nervous even more and saying, oh, can someone help me? You say, hey, Sam, hey, Jerry, hey, Bill, I think I've got a question. Really calmly, it happens. Tech stuff happens. After you've centered yourself, then take a pause. Then go into your startling statistic, your question, your big humorous moment, whatever your opening scene is. But your nerves will reduce once you're out there and you've actually gotten through that first couple of words. So don't kill yourself with the first words being the presentation. Get a little comfortable. You can even ad lib and say, hey, who came here from so and so? If it's an audience student, I talked to somebody in the coffee break, or if it's tell a little baby story that's not even connected right away with your presentation. You can just share a little bit about what it means to be there, or someone else that you talk to, or if it's a team meeting, you can say, I was really grateful to my colleague so and so for helping me with. Give yourself a little pleasantry vamp moment to get comfortable in the space. It's not normal for people to do this every day. So you're going to get rusty, and it's likely that you are going to feel some nerves. So give yourself the power of preparation, walking on, knowing what to do with your body. A lot of people are nervous because they've planned their script, but they don't know where to put their hands. They don't know how to stand. They don't know how to look because they've never practiced the other two legs of the communication stool. Three legs on the communication stool, folks. The words are your content and your script, but your voice, being able to project it, being able to control the pace, and then your body language are the two other very important legs on that stool. And if you've only focused on one, then of course you're going to be off balance and the stool is going to not be as comfortable as it should be. And then as a result, more nerves.
Absolutely. And we're getting great comments in. Thank you, everybody. We have 94 people watching us at the moment. Thank you so much. Joyce says nerves are showing up because I care.
Yes,
Susan has joined us as well. I always say to clients, nerves are good. It shows it's how you control or deal with them that matters.
exactly. And
Yeah.
Joyce, by the way, is a fantastic MC that I've had the pleasure of being on virtual sessions before. And she is one of these people that has, again, we all have nerves, like you and I were saying at the beginning, because we care. The day we don't have any nerves is the day that we should worry. Now, you don't want those nerves to overwhelm you so you can't get the words out. And I have had clients who have like full anxiety about this stuff. So when you know that you have overwhelming nerves, the things that will help you make it enjoyable is practice out loud. Practice out loud and do not memorize your scripts. Do not memorize every single word verbatim. Now, if you have some power lines or some important message nuggets, highlight those and ad lib to it and then land it. So if you're going to really practice on rehearsing, I love to encourage people to rehearse in chunks. You do not need to rehearse front to back. In fact, if you have limited time, practice your intro and your closing. Your closing is the last thing that you're going to leave that audience with. If you don't like the way you deliver your closing in real time, just simply link that, whatever you just said, with the word again, again, and then say it again. People do not know what you intended to say. They only know what you say. You don't
Absolutely.
have to apologize. Oh, I didn't land that right. Oh, I stumbled. Oh, I didn't. Keep the face. Remember that leg of the stool. Keep the face. Hey, this means something to me, and I know it's going to mean something to you. Say it again. Re-emphasize. And I think we have so much more control that we can learn and exhibit when we're presenting. Most of us, though, think it's just a natural thing. Oh, I
Mm,
see Gina, or oh, I see Sam, or oh, I see Joyce Daniels. They're pros. They naturally are. They're social butterflies. They're extroverts. Whatever that it is that you think they are and you're not, I guarantee when you see 90% of speakers that you admire, they
hmm.
put a lot of work into it. Things
Absolutely.
that come things that come easier to them now most likely did not initially.
Absolutely. Like everybody learns as they go and how to refine it. And I know that you help clients do that, Gina. One thing you mentioned about the audience, by the way, an aside, sometimes the person who does have the frown is the person that emails me afterwards and said they were just concentrating, like
I know.
they weren't frowning at all. Like,
We'll do the whole other session about the power of active listening to support speakers in a positive way. Most people are largely unaware of what their resting listener face looks like. And so it's important for a speaker to try to assume positive intent on behalf of or it can really cut your confidence, because if you do look out into a sea of bored people or bored looking people, like you said, they might be focused and concentrating, but if their faces are like this, I have to force myself to keep going on. Or if everybody's face is down in their phone, that's really a discouraging thing. So I do
someone
try.
nodding is great, isn't it? I love when someone nods and you're like, great.
So part of reducing nerves is learning not just how to perform as a speaker, but how to perform as a listener.
Mm,
Because our communications can be by default or by design, and we're still communicating. We're still sending some signals out people are receiving from this. And this is where I think the whole concept of what we do in purposeful, intentional, connecting communications is not to be fake, but is to understand that globally human beings can better be supported if we make some choices. So you can go, oh, well, this is just me. Well, what is that signaling? Take some ownership of the humanness that you're bringing. That can feed a speaker who is otherwise nervous. I always, when I'm in the listener audience, first of all, I don't even know what the topic might be, but
mm,
there is always something I can learn. Even if we're going to be talking about, I don't know, gas and chemicals or economic stuff that I don't have, or sports or things, there's something there that I can learn if I turn on my mindset to be open, if I turn on my active body language, which also then reminds me how to be more engaged. So I sit on the edge of my seat, I lean in a little bit, I resist my phone, unless I'm way in the back and I'm sure they can't see me. No. And I do nod. Of course I do not. I don't nod like a bobblehead doll to everything, no matter what, because then it doesn't feel genuine. But I am thinking about how to actively engage, even as a listener, which then the byproduct is I'm more interested as a result. And I've had plenty of speakers come to me in another situation and say, hey, I saw you out there in the audience. I'm like, great, because I'm trying to give you that support. We have that ability in all of us to give a little more support, because we know when we're a speaker, if we have nerves, we sure appreciate that person that's out there doing it.
mm. Yeah. Alex just says, love this. The speaker should always be learning as well, especially if there's a Q&A at the end.
Yeah, and that's another technique. The coaching client I had before this session, by the way, was from Spain. And she says she feels great about presentations, but Q&A fills her with dread. And so again, this technique to keep yourself engaged, because if you start to feel, oh, that question, I'm not sure where to answer it, or that question feels a little bit hostile, or that question is not something I prepared for, we need to fight against that reactive trigger of looking scared, upset, because we're trying to build a relationship. Think about the long game.
Yeah.
Your controlled persona, right? So first of all, the rhythm of Q&A, let's think about this. The rhythm of Q&A does not mean question, I automatically answer. So this is what gets people in a lot of trouble. Someone's asking me a question, I jump in and start answering. No, you can do a lot of things before you even begin the answer. One, thank the persons for the question. You don't have to say it was a great question. You can say, thank you for your question. I hear you. I appreciate that viewpoint. There are several phrases you can use to buy yourself time, like the power of the pleasantry, the power of your thoughtful response. Then put that conversation back into their court. Is there an example you can give? Can you
Yes.
expand on that? Can you give a little detail about what you're looking for? That's one. Or two, you can say, you can mirror the last couple of lines. I hear you asking this. Right away, you have lowered your heart rate, kept your face in control. You're acknowledging they are able to answer. Then you can do the answer. Then you can park. I don't have that for you right now. I'll get that for you later, and give them a time when you will. The pivot, which is that's interesting, and I want to reinforce this. So you don't have that answer, or you aren't going to answer it, and you're going to pivot over to another message. Or the unpack, which I alluded to already, which is, can you explain a little further about that? Can you give me an example when that was? All of those techniques, and they are techniques that you can learn, buy you time, help get some clarity, keep you in control, reduce the nerves of a potential confrontation or an uncertainty you might feel, and keep you in calm, poise, control.
Brilliant. It's the Q&A thing is something I was asked today, actually. I'm afraid to speak because I'm afraid I won't know the answers to everything. And I was like, but I don't think any of us know the answers to
Of course
everything.
we don't.
Have you any advice for that person?
Yeah, of course, because I would much rather hear from a speaker who says, that is a valid question, and I don't have all the information on that, as opposed to someone who bluffs their way through, and it feels disingenuous, or it feels that if you don't have the answer, you can be human but keep the calm. You don't have to apologize for that. You're not ChatGPT accessing everything in the internet in a nanosecond. You're a human being, but you can tell a story. You can explain why that doesn't. You can bring it back to them if they have their own experience. What I also love to do, by the way, here's a great technique. Anybody in the audience have an experience with this?
Great.
Bring others in. You don't have to be the only authority if it's not something that you have real clarity on. Ask others for their points of view and their shared experience. Now you're a facilitator. Now you're helping share the genius of the other people in the room, which is a true sign of a leader. You don't have to have every answer, and you shouldn't have every answer.
That's happened to me once, actually, where I didn't actually know the answer. And I actually said, you know what, I will look into it. Unless someone in the audience has the answer, is there anyone here that would know the correct answer for that? And then they had a chance to chat afterwards. So it kind of made a new connection as well.
And you facilitated that because you didn't lose your cool.
Inside, I was like, no, I don't know.
Look, can be a disconnect between the internal thought track and what comes out. That's the beauty of being an intentional purposeful communicator. It's not that you're faking it. It's not that you're not genuine. It's that you have learned other techniques in order to make the experience largely positive for everyone in the room and you.
Yeah.
Again, why would we spend so much time on developing technical skills, which are going to be substituted by ChatGPT and generative AI soon anyway? These human skills, seriously, these human skills are the ones that are going to be the ones that set humans apart. And they are developable like anything else. It doesn't mean that you're going to be carbon cutouts of each other. It means you are going to be more exposed to the range of best practices out there that across cultures, across countries, across languages, people respond to. And you're going to be situationally trying different things, but your confidence and comfort that these are some tools you can use is going to reduce the nerves of uncertainty, imposter syndrome. I saw someone put that up. These self-doubt flickers because you feel like you're just supposed to be born with this knowledge. No way. No way. None of us were born knowing how to talk.
Yeah.
Why would we be born knowing how to frame a question, how to ask for more clarity, how to keep composed face, how to bring people in, how to facilitate what we learn from others? And that's what we're doing here today. Like, this is so exciting that people are investing time in themselves, time in how they connect with others. The ripple effect of what we're doing to help empower other humans is a game changer in a world where they say by 2040, we're going to have 44% of the jobs that are currently out there replaced by Gen AI. Think about it. That's a real call for us to human up.
Yep, human up, and don't be afraid to show the human side. And we have got a question, Gina.
Yes.
Lovely Catherine. How do you break the habit of saying am between words, please? So word
Great.
fillers. Yeah.
Catherine, thank you for this. And this is certainly when we are more nervous, the filler words come in. The M's, the you knows, the I supposes, the yani, if you're speaking in an Arabic country, and that tends to be one that sneaks in a lot there. When we are comfortable with two things, I think are the best ways to reduce fillers. Well, three. One, practice out loud. This whole muscle memory thing of presenting is not an intellectual exercise. It is a physical exercise, just like hitting the gym. You're not going to be able to do a Romanian deadlift properly just because you watched a YouTube or you thought about it.
Yeah.
Two, and here are the other ones I was thinking about, projecting your voice naturally then slows your pace. So projection and slower pace allows your little brain to connect with your little mouth. When you're going so fast and everything then of course you're going to just put more filler words in. Then as you're speaking slower and you're constructing ad lib or extemporaneously, if you stumble for a word or you're wanting to link too many phrases together, get comfortable with the pause. I talk about the power of the pleasantry, the power of the pause. Emphasis. I don't know where I'm going next. And then you keep going. Now, you don't make the face that says, hey, I'm indicating that I'm pausing. But most of us are not comfortable with a pause in between thoughts. And I like to describe our words, our phrases, as Lego bricks. So you get out one phrase, that's a brick. Pause. Where's the next brick? Pop it in. You don't have to have your presentation be one long run-on sentence. In fact, if you don't vary your pace and your projection, people start to tune you out because it's like a big torrent of water, and it's a white noise effect. So getting comfortable with emphasizing repeating phrases that are important, having a little quicker pace when you're telling a story that illustrates something. But when you're coming into a power line, go a little slower and lower your voice. And most of all, practice out loud. And don't worry about getting rid of all of them. I'm not talking elimination. I'm not talking elimination of nerves. We're not talking about elimination of fillers.
Absolutely. And you know, it's lovely. We're getting great comments here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We are wrapping up shortly. So I just want to give a shout out to Jeffrey, who says hi, Samantha and Gina. And we have somebody else. Hello from Venice, Italy. It's very international, our audience.
Ciao,
Lovely.
buongiorno, come va?
Ah, so there you go. So is there anything that you would like to add? I know to wrap up, really, it's preparation, it's knowing, you know, the audience don't want you to fail most of the time. Is there any kind of tip that people could leave with today that you want to stand out?
Prepare to focus on your audience. The more you can be others conscious, the less self-conscious you're going to be. So think about who they are. Think about stories that are connecting with them. Localize your stories. If you are in Italy and you're telling a story that is largely an Irish point of view, you're going to miss them. If you're telling things from an American point of view and you're talking to people over in Costa Rica, unless there's a real understanding, you're going to miss them. So think about local examples, because the whole reason that we're doing this is to connect with an audience and to give them some things that they can use to improve their lives, their careers, some facet of what they're doing. Practice out loud. There's just simply no substitute. Put yourself on your camera, on your phone, in sections. Just do a chunk. Play 30 seconds. There it is. Play 30 seconds 2 ways. I want you to play it with the sound on. Then I want you to play the same section with the sound off. Because when you start to see, oh, I don't look like I'm connected to the material. I don't look like I'm engaging with those people I'm imagining are behind that camera. Now, this is a practice skill, but it's one worth developing. All this stuff is, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. It is not, I repeat, for 99.9% of us out there, this human stuff is not natural or innate or whatever you want to call it. Nerves happen, stumbles happen, filler words happen, technical difficulties happen. Somebody who's a more polished speaker than you who goes beforehand is going to happen. Audience members falling asleep in the front row. It happens. How you can control and keep driving, but also be responsive if something's happening. It's a balancing act, but it takes a real strong situational external observer awareness. And it's progression. It doesn't happen overnight. So start powering up your thought process preparation. Start powering up your practice in chunks. Power up taking control of your voice. Power up taking control of your body. Over time, the body and the voice part can compensate for if you forget a word or if you forget where you're going next. And last year, I was facilitating the International Children's Peace Prize. And I have done it before, but for whatever reason, the 4 or 5 chunks I needed to get out of the open. I'm standing there in front of Nelson Mandela's grandson, and I'm there with Archbishop Desmond Tutu's daughter and all these honorary dignitaries. And I'm got the face, I've got the, I mean composure. You know, I've got the body language, I've got the voice, and whatever paragraph 3 was flew away like a little dove in my head. And and so the heart rate started going up because the internal track said, oh my gosh, I don't remember where I was going next. So what I did was I went back and repeated with different words, but I essentially went back and landed the last 2 points. And then I thankfully was able to segue then into where we were going next. It came to me. If it hadn't come to me, I would have gone to the next chapter and kept going, because again, your audience doesn't know what you wanted to say. They
Yes.
only know what you say and how you give them a good experience while you're saying it. So I'm human. We're all human.
Yeah.
But we can power up and be more human with time and practice.
Well, thank you so much, Gina. I think I have just one quick question that I just want your advice on, just for others that might want to know the answer. You know, when there's someone speaking before me, usually I go early and I take a few main kind of cool things that they said, and I might bring them into my presentation. Would you
Absolutely.
advise? Yeah.
Absolutely. Couple of things why it's important. If you know you're going to have speakers before you, I would absolutely recommend that you sit in the audience and think about a couple of things. Yes, think about their content that you can refer back to, because that reinforces that you're cohesive, and that also is bringing your audience on an ongoing journey of the day. Also, very important, if the person before you is either really good or really boring, there are two things you got to be aware of. If your audience just was put to sleep, then you better bring out, don't compare yourself to them out loud, obviously, but you need to bring the energy back up.
Yeah.
You have an absolute responsibility to be aware of the tone and the mood in that room. Likewise, if the topic's really serious and yours isn't, or it's very light and yours is more serious, think about the emotional transition you need to bring people along with, because you are the presentation, not the slides, not the words. You are the tour guide of the experience those people are feeling. So your situational awareness to what's come before them will help you calibrate a little bit. Remember, that power of that pleasantry can also be moving the energy up, moving the energy into the right place. You can even ad lib a couple of little individual Q&As, or getting people to acknowledge something that you think is relevant to them. Get their mindset, focus them for you. But take control of being in the moment and not driving forward with your off the shelf, no matter what happens, I'm going to give this in a vacuum, because you're not living in a vacuum.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gina. If anyone wants to connect with Gina afterwards, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, and also please connect with the people in the comments as well, because there's some lovely people here in the comments from all over the world that maybe you should be connected to. Thank you so much, everybody. If you're on your lunch, enjoy the rest of your lunch. And if you're in a different part of the world, enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Thank you. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks to all of you. You can be more human. You can be more purposeful. It's not about being fake. It's about being more focused on the other people.